A very good afternoon, everyone. I'm your host for the session, Manmeet from IMI. Welcome to the panel discussion on Gen Z, the social media generation, vital audience for affiliates. We would like to begin by thanking you all for being a part of the 7th edition of India Affiliate Summit, co-presented by IMI and B Commission, powered by Optimize Media, brought to you by Zapaz Media in association with Trackio. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Vivek Bhargava, co-founder ProfitWheel, who will be moderating this session, and our esteemed panelists, Ayushman Chiranewala, head e-commerce and Omni-Channel Titan Company, Shantanu Chauhan, head digital marketing Noise, Tota, head digital marketing Ferns and Petals. Over to you, Mr. Bhargava.
Thanks, Manmeet. Pleasure to moderate this panel. I think we have a lot of buzzwords in this panel. We have a buzzword called Gen Z. We have to explain what Gen Z is. Then we have a buzzword for influencers in the affiliate space, what that actually means. But I think all of us have a certain take on the topic. So I'm going to start off with Sai, where Sai, we would like you to talk and give your sort of view on the topic before we get into a panel discussion.
Thank you, Vivek. For giving me an opportunity to start, especially because you have given me this opportunity to start. Let me also talk about take to the overall internet population or internet generation that we call, including the millennials. So let me first talk about millennials even before I get into Gen Z. So basically, this internet population, especially the millennials, I would like to talk about one specific characteristic of this population. Basically, they like the authenticity. So basically, when it comes to millennials, if you are able to successfully communicate to them, or for that matter, sound authentic, your job is done with millennials. But when it comes to Gen Z, they have actually taken the what you call authenticity to the next level. They're also very much pragmatic and are also smarter to differentiate between what content is actually sponsored. So basically, and at the same time, they also don't mind even if this is a what you call a sponsored ad also. They're able to differentiate and they don't mind, as long as basically it is actually helping them. And especially their view towards the influencers also is like more or less like friends. That is the reason. So as a company, when you're actually going to create content using influencers, one important factor that I would like to call out that we should keep in mind is that whoever is this influencer that we are choosing, they have to have what you call genuine love for your brand, so that the authenticity actually comes out. It actually is expressed beyond what are the words that are uttered in those social posts that they are creating. So the point that I'm trying to bring across is, especially when it comes to zillennials, it's about that level of genuine authenticity, because it's not just about sounding authenticity. That's what the influencers, as long as the influencers are able to bring that on the table, I think that's when you as a brand will be able to reap benefits out of it. That's where my point is.
Awesome, Sai. I would just request the panelists to mute themselves after they talk. So one of the things I want to just add out here, Sai, is that Gen Zs, one thing they hate the most is if you ever call them millennials, because millennials are till the age of 35. So my daughter had told me once that she's around 18. He said, how would you like it if I compared you with a 80-year-old person? Because you're 40. When you're comparing me with somebody who's double my age, so when you are 18, when you get married, you have kids, you get jobs, all those things, it means your life is over. So basically what they're Gen Z, millennials are old people. And that is what she had corrected me for. So it's a very interesting thought about Gen Z and millennial.
So not even a comparison.
No comparison, I agree. Okay, Shantanu, would love to have your take on the topic.
Yeah, sure. I think they're the best affiliate audience, I would say. They're very energetic. I would say the most educated generation ever. They are born when they had the mobile phones when they were age of 10. Now they're at 18. They comparatively, they have born in that stage where they have adapted this internet very well way comparatively. They're the drivers out there. They know every other social channel which we are not even aware about. They're the best content creator in itself, and not only that, they're the best affiliate people. These They have a priority set in terms of brand. You cannot fool them absolutely with your advertisements or something. They're comparatively the one who know how to drive them in a way ki they go for a brand and then they search about it. They get into all sort of reviews whether they like that particular product or not, and then eventually they made a purchase. And they can create value, they can create a money by themselves. They don't have to for them, honestly, for jobs to happen, because the internet in itself has provided so much opportunities that they can earn by themselves. They don't need us across that the parents will actually help them out. No, they don't need us. They started earning. I've met a lot of influential marketing agencies, and these are run by the Gen Zs themselves. I mean, the way they have approached just after the college, they started their companies, and they're phenomenal person. I mean, I'm a big fan. Being old millennial, I'm a big fan of Gen Z. So
No, absolutely, Shantanu. So I think I would like to just add out here and shamelessly promote my daughter while we're getting a chance. So she's 18 years old, and about a year ago, she spent 1,000 rupees on some stupid object, right? And I gave her this lecture my father had given me. Paisa paid pe nahi hota hai. It takes persistence. Making money is so difficult. And it was a half an hour lecture which I had, recollected every single word that my father had told me and give it to her. Then she became an influencer. Now she has 270,000 odd followers on Instagram. She earns 1.5 lakh, 2 lakh rupees a month. And she was having a conversation with me that, Papa, wo 1,000 rupees ki baat kar rahe the. Main kaha, maaf kar de. Unfortunately, I'm a baby boomer, not even a millennial. So the problem with guys like us is, or Gen Y, or whatever you would call it, is that we are bullied by both sides of ourselves, right? So our parents bullied us, and now our children are bullying us. So we are the sandwich generation of the country, unfortunately. So Ayushman, would love to have your thoughts on the topic.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Vivek, and thanks, Sai and Shantanu, for your views. I think clearly I agree to both my panelists and the points that they made. I think Gen Zs are clearly digital natives, right? And that is really shown when we talk about them or when we try and engage with them on the digital forum, right? So clearly for them, media and trying to target them. I think they see it as a continuum, right? So everything and anything which is also culminating in the offline is actually finding its space and presence online for them, right? So it is like that, a truly omni generation, if I can say so, in the parlance of commerce, right? So I don't think the consumer decision journey that they follow is very linear, right? I don't think they visit a store and then they decide I want to buy this and then they buy. I think it is really culminating online, going offline, again coming back online, and so on and so forth. So clearly that's a great generation to be talking to, right? Because that is the future. And now most of the brands we see across the spectrum, barring say a few healthcare brands and so on and so forth, have Gen Z as either the core audience or a large part of their audience, right? Because they know they are the consumers of the future. Right, and that's where the importance of this audience comes into affiliates as well, right? So the entire social commerce, the entire social media explosion that we see is really hinging on them to take it to the next level. So while a lot of the influencers today are possibly in the millennial space, but the authenticity that is being bought in is really by these young guys, because very often when we approach them as companies, we see a lot of them not taking up everything that is up their way. So if you go to somebody who thinks that he's great with food, he's not really into taking something which is not related and cannot be integrated into his or her own campaign, right? The idea. So it's not like they're going after everything. I think that level of awareness is what is really heartening to see, if you ask me, right? So this audience, both from the consumer side as well as from being influencers themselves, like say your daughter is, I think that maturity is very, very visible, which was clearly not the case, say much earlier, right? I mean, so I think that's my view. So it's a very interesting time, really interesting audience. that we are talking about, and extremely challenging as well.
Yeah, I think one thing to add out there is that I think the Gen Z generation is a true digital generation, right? So they actually don't distinguish between platforms, between digital and non-digital. So when you talk to her, for her, TV is no TV. If she's watching Netflix on TV, she's planning to watch Netflix, right? So it doesn't matter whether it's on the phone, whether it's on TV or it's broadcast or not. And it's like more, I was having a very interesting conversation with one of our ex-Dentsu guys. We call him Aggie, right? So Taproot, he's the CEO and the founder of Taproot. And he said that the generation who's dominant names the non-dominant sort of platform. So as an example, we are urban marketeers, so we call it rural marketing. The rest of it is urban marketing, but we call it marketing. Same way, earlier, digital marketing or influencers or affiliate was named by the dominant person. Now what's going to happen is with influencers becoming a very integral part of marketing, it'll become a part of us in such a big manner that maybe like how digital guys now call it traditional advertising, because now we've been powerful enough to name them as traditional advertising rather than digital advertising. So I think that is what is going to happen in the influencer space also. But I'll just give my 1 minute on why I'm very bullish on the influencer space. So I'm an angel investor. I've invested in 22 companies, out of which 9 companies are in the influencer space. And why it's connected to affiliate and influencers is that generally only 1-2% of the total budget goes in advertising. But influencers can actually help in commerce or become an affiliate. Then you can spend at least 10, 20, 30% of their sale price towards that sale. So basically it can be 10x of the advertising industry per se, because you're now shifting that cost from, advertising expense in the profit and loss account, but making it a sort of a cost of sale in the balance sheet. And a cost of sale has no limit, right? So if you spend $1 billion on advertising, as long as you get $10 billion in revenue, it doesn't matter how much money you spend. So I'm so bullish. Not only I've invested in this, we are building an entire marketing intelligence platform in the new company that I've started, ProfitWheel, all focused on influencers, because I feel that if it becomes 10x of advertising, imagine what the size can be. And I'm very, very bullish of how this is going to evolve, because just imagine, right? Times of India has 15 million readership, 3 million circulation. Today, one influencer has 100 million, 150 million followers. It means just imagine, just as a power of clout of a publisher, one influencer has 10x, 20x the reach of the largest publication in the country. And probably from an earning point of view, it earns 1/10,000th of what Times of India earns today, right? So this gap is going to definitely change. And it's going to be like how Uber did not take money from the taxi services in California. It became 4 times, 5 times the size of taxi market. Same way, I think influencers will not take money from the advertising industry, market, which is the cost of sale market. So these are my 2 bits on what my thoughts on the influencer space is. What I would like to do is, maybe Shantanu, starting with you. You have done a lot of influencer campaigns, and you also have some awesome brand ambassadors for yourself who are large influencers. We'd love to know some thoughts, some case studies. What are the things that you've done and something that you think will add value to the audience?
I'll talk on the recent launch we had. So we were when we design any kind of campaign, there's always a pattern which we follow, that you define an objective, that whom do you want to reach, you define a target audience, and then accordingly you choose the media assets which you have.
Shantanu, I'm just going to take 10 seconds. I think basically we've introduced, but a lot of audience may not know what products we deal with. So Shantanu deals with noise, which is into wearables, headphones, watches, smart watches, etc. Ayushman is a part of the Titan team. So obviously, I think everybody knows Titan, and Sai is in Ferns and Petals. But I think when you give an example, it'll be great to just use the products.
We're the most loved connected lifestyle brand right now. We've been the #1 smartwatch brand from the past 4 quarters, and we're just waiting for this quarter to come too. Whereas we've been the 4th position in our TWS space, which is a truly wireless headphone space. Currently, almost 4 million plus unique users are using noise devices. So, and this gap, this particular persona is from the age bracket from 15 to 35, and in fact more than that. Even my father uses, so I can say that. So keeping that in mind, so we were introducing one of the premium launches for us in the recent time, and then we decided that what should be the target audience. You always go for an end market who is salaried comparatively, who can afford in something. That's what your mindset goes around. But eventually, we always have one experimental budget where we try to find out new avenues also into the additional marketing. Which you said it right, that there is one online traditional marketing which we keep on doing, and there is one which we keep on creating in terms of what is the new avenues which we need to try. We went to a couple of Gen Zs who create a lot of long form contents across YouTube, which are into the fitness space, where we wanted to communicate about the fitness tracking capabilities of the devices is much more accurate than anything else. We went to them, we asked them, how about we create an affiliate model for you. Whatever sales we make, we give you a certain percentage. But on the similar hand, they talked about much more deeper into that, how much creating content also charge them sometimes, wherever they go, what are they do and things. So we decided on a very hybrid model kind of a thing for them. And eventually what we found that most of the buyers, I was shocked to see the results. And most of the buyers came from that Gen Z influencer across. And trust me, we as a brand are like, dude, this has to have log for a year. We don't want to go anywhere else, So that kind of attitude, and I've seen this happening with a lot of brands across. They've been working with 40, 60 micro influencers who are creating a content every day and communicating the right messages. Because the advertisement is just not about showcasing your product, but it's all the knowledge sharing which you wanted to keep on. And for the devices like us, which is a wearable device, you have to show them how the sleep tracking works, how exactly the running features work, how exactly compatible it is with the app, and then comparatively how it is useful for your day-to-day tracking things. So they put a whole lot of energy because they're Gen Zs of the world, and they're very young, vibrant, and they put a whole lot of energy. A brand is supporting them. So that becomes a kind of challenge for them, and they come out with a great content altogether. So that's really worked for us. And I would suggest, yesterday I was reading that how much money YouTube has paid to the influencer this year, half year. And that was crazy amount. I have to check the relevancy of it, because I also saw that on any of the Instagram pages. But yes, I was shocked to see. And we know the way D2C brands are increasing, the comparatively, this particular marketing is going to grow day by day, for sure. Yeah.
So I absolutely agree, Shantanu. I think, but YouTube does pay a lot more than Instagram, because I think the engagement is at a different level. And I genuinely believe that a lot of people who have committed to influencers early and had a long-term contract with them, but I've seen my daughter go from 50,000 followers to 300,000 followers in less than 6 months. So people who had a 1-year deal with them, and similarly the other influencers, can make a lot of money, because you don't have any medium that is growing 5x, 6x in terms of reach and circulation in a period of 6 months, right? So I think there is an opportunity which I think all of us can leverage, and it's an exciting space for sure. So Ayushman, I would love to have your thoughts and any things that you've done which will add value to the audience.
Sure, Vivek. So, Vivek, we, of course, I was handling Fast Track before, or what I'm doing currently. And clearly that was the core audience was Gen Z for us, right? And what we realized with that audience is one of the key features of Gen Z is that it's a very transient audience, right? So if you ask me, every 3 to 4 year, the entire ethos of that consumer kind of changes, so it is like, in my personal opinion, it's a 3 to 4 year block, right? So what we realized is that earlier, say, how much of the brand perception or the brand attraction was being able to be created with, say, a positioning like across attraction, that had moved away from, the consumers had stopped responding to it as much, and possibly authenticity and not being fake and being real was coming into the forefront, right? So what we did is we actually cut a campaign across, and which was, say, a ATL campaign, but to give it legs, okay, we actually use a lot of influencer marketing, and basically it was up that alley, because it was really asking people not to be fake, right? And not to be fake in their digital avatars. So clearly the idea itself was hinging on how do you land it on digital, right? So roping in a lot of real people who are actually living this life. So who are either cat A, cat B influencers or micro influencers, and how are they coping with that pressure? Which is, how are they trying to keep it real, both online as well as offline, right? Because you can't really be living two different avatars. So I wouldn't want to name some people, but really a lot of cat A teams we have worked with very, very closely out of Bangalore, where we actually met them offline, when we were discussing our idea. And I think that explosion that we see in their following is really because that's who they are. Okay, so you would very seldom see people who are, say, a little trying to tickle your funny bone. Okay, will take up something which is on the serious front. So their take on a serious topic will also be to tickle your funny bone, right? So when you meet them, you realize that. Okay, so I might have a very serious product. This product does this, that, but they will give you an angle which is really up the alley, right? So that was beautiful to see, and also gave us assurance that we are going down the right path. Okay, so the repositioning exercise, if I can say so, that we took was actually hitting bang on, because they are really the Gen Zs whom we want to talk to, and they are themselves that way. Okay, so it was kind of murky lines which were murky earlier getting clearer for us, right? So that was a cool thing. I don't want to take names, of course. These are very popular groups, people, and they do it very, very beautifully, what they do. But a little different. A little different, how should I say, experience that we have had to what Shantanu mentioned is that I don't think we have really hit a place where we have got the affiliate kicking in as well for us today when it comes to influencer marketing. So while we, of course, go in for hybrid models in most of the cases, but we don't really see a lot of conversions coming in from there. Our conversions, if you ask me, when it comes to affiliate marketing, even through Gen Zers, so where Gen Z becomes the customer for us, right, is actually coming through pure play affiliate players, right? So pure play affiliate players are, say, the large companies like the Magic Pins of the world, or say the more older ones like the Coupon Gurus or the Coupon Dunyas of the world, right? So they are pure play affiliate players who deliver. Okay, when it comes to affiliates or the affiliate model online as well. But the influencer model, really, that hybrid model has not really kicked in for us. So maybe there are some learnings that we need to figure out there. So I think, that's my 2 bits there.
Sure. So I think you hit the nail on the head, Ayushman, but I think one of the things that Shantanu said, right, that so many times you have to evaluate it also from a point of view of what kind of outcome it delivers to you, right? So it may give you reach, may give you video views, it may give you something which is not leading to just pure sales. But if advertising is about awareness, consideration, desire, and action, maybe the action is X, but the reach itself is huge, right? Because as you're saying that even after a few months, you're still getting video views of your product and gives you credibility. So I think authenticity is also there, right? So you mentioned that authenticity is the most important part for Gen Z. So I feel that it's a very early stage of the sort of cycle. So I think the way what we were discussing earlier, that in India, we probably will have to have a hybrid model where we have partly our costs allocated to as an advertising medium where it creates, consideration and awareness and desire, etc., and partly as an affiliate medium where it creates the action. And the combination of that collectively, hopefully, will give us better ROI than other advertising mediums or other pure affiliate mediums. So I think we'll have to just create a combination and see what works best for us. So Sai, over to you. You have some very interesting examples of how you've used influencers. I'd love to.
Okay. Thank you, Vivek. Let me take this up. So when I compare it with absolutely what you call Gen Z brands, noise, and most probably in Titan also fast track kind of products are very much Gen Z centered. Unfortunately, when I compare with them again, like the way that I was actually trying to compare zillennials with millennials, so I think it is that kind of a comparison most probably. We are odd man out, to be very honest. Why? Because we are more millennial kind of a brand at this stage, at least. Especially because also the fact that most of our money actually comes from there, and most of the times, unless it is some kind of a gift where probably you are in a courtship or something like that, most of the times actually gifting is a family business, right? Okay, so we have always been, and for that matter, we are also at this point in time mostly millennial centered. Our target audience is that, and we try to go behind these millennials. Okay, but then, yeah, of course, lately, if not very late, we also realize that this this zillennial and Gen Z audience that we are talking about is certainly, if not they are not, even if they are not buying, certainly they play an important role in influencing the decision making. Okay, and then in this context, what we did is we have actually very recently, for the first time in India, we have launched our first Rakhi brand. This is supposedly India's first Rakhi brand, called Sneh. When we launched that, what we said is, let's try out Gen Z. Basically, of course, the intention is more towards creating brand awareness, because at the end of the day, they can actually go and influence their family members, and then in turn probably will get a sale and all. So when we did that, this initiative happens to be it actually gave good response for us. The response is actually phenomenal. But again, I'm talking about the reach, that the conversation that we're able to create and all. Whether it generated into, whether these things have generated into sales or not, is a little, I think that time has to say, especially the attribution and all has to, will take more time, especially we have just come out of the Rakhi season, right? Just 3 days ago only it's done. So I think we might have to dig deep into those numbers and then be able to talk about that. But certainly when it comes to the conversations, the brand awareness and all, certainly we believe that that is actually Gen Z has actually worked out for us.
Cool. So I think one question I have from curiosity point of view, probably all three of you, is that how much percent of your budgets goes towards influencer marketing, and is there some science or art behind allocating that budget, or is it like Bhagwan Bharose, it's like itna percent hona chahiye, or should be double of last year because last year was 1%? Maybe I'll start with Shantanu.
That's a very difficult question. Honestly, not a difficult question with us, but a difficult question to answer over here. But on the same hand, I would say the media mix is always dependent on the kind of objective you set. There are times when we want to communicate more of some kind of messaging. The influencer budget goes as higher as possible. Then there are times when we wanted to generate kind of leads for our launches across. The accuracy goes much better in terms of we know what kind of ROAS these influencers come up with. I'll also, over here we usually keep a budget of somewhere around 10%, but this is very industry to industry dependent. There are industries where the budget has gone much higher, something like an FMCG, where you know that the product will be offline, something like Pepsi does it, or something like anyone else in the similar space does it. But for an online brand like us, it is all dependent on the kind of objective we set. So usually we keep a budget of somewhere around 10 to 20%, and sometimes in the best likely manner where we really wanted to create a lot of shout outs or kind of really create a lot of noise. So I would say we increase sometimes our budget to more than 30% also. So yeah.
That's a pretty substantial budget, Shantanu, because I think it almost vindicates my belief that this is going to be big if brands are already allocating double-digit figures towards influencers, which is huge. Yeah, I'm sure it's very different for Ayushman. I'm sure it's not in double digits, but we'd love to know your view.
No, but you'll be surprised, Vivek. And I was just thinking when Shantanu was saying, maybe the reason behind our budgets actually being, I would say, at par, if not higher, primarily because of the fact that COVID's also changed a lot, right? So, when we do media planning, right? So I was not sure which context was Shantanu coming from when he says 30%. Was it 30% of digital or 30% of overall? But say how we do it is that you have, yeah. So clearly my overall budgets is hinging a lot more on digital today, right? Which is 50% of any campaign today would be possibly digital-led campaigns, right? And internally within the company, we actually have teams specifically working on only digital campaigns. Okay, so that actually for that team, it's 100% of that money, right? But if I take the brand lens, then 40 to 50% of the brand spends are going to digital, primarily because of the benefits that it brings today, right? All the markets are not open, markets are sparingly open, markets have different weekend dates. So really doing TV campaigns, maybe print you can still target, but doing TV campaigns is really not great for ROI. So you move your monies to digital. Now, when you move your monies to digital, what part of that is really, I'll concur with Shantanu, is a function of what is your objective, right? So campaigns which need influencer-led marketing, we actually go very aggressive. Okay, so 40 to 50% of the monies we'll put aside behind that campaign, which will be towards digital. So that's how we see it. Of course, it's slightly different for different brands, right? So Titan as a brand will maybe have a slightly lower contribution, but still at a significantly increasing trend than say a Fast Track would already be doing, primarily because of the audience split and so on and so forth. But everyone is going there. Okay, so I must say your investments are quite safe, and especially you have a diversified portfolio, so you really have nothing to worry about. Okay, so I'm sure a few of them will become unicorns, hopefully very soon for you.
Yeah. No, I'm also banking on a lot of these influencers creating content, right? Because what was the traditional publisher who used to be an affiliate, or the guy who would create content, and now the influencers are creating content. So I'll give you an example. Like I've done a happiness course of 21 videos. Now Shantanu tracks sleep, and one of my chapters is on sleep. So now the fact of the matter is, hopefully one day I could be an influencer. You say you buy so many products and you get my happiness course for free. So again, shamelessly plugging in money. Now I left a job, become an entrepreneur, so I have to make some money on the side also. So Sai, over to you. What percentage of budgets do you have for influencers right now? And after this talk, do you think that in percentage is going to go up?
Okay, as I already talked, basically we have actually started this very recently, as I already told. So when it comes to percentage, it's absolutely minuscule at this point in time. But as I told that during Rakhi, the campaign was successful in terms of brand awareness and all. Certainly, we are looking positive into this. At the same time, probably the industry also might have to go more towards performance. As an e-commerce player, that's what at the end of the day, where is the money coming from is an important thing. For example, affiliate marketing. When I talk about affiliate marketing is all about, whatever all the campaigns that are actually working out for us are performance driven, right? So I'm sure there might be some play on how we can balance that out. At the end of the day, we have to. We're certainly open, but at the same time, if it's actually going to add some performance angle also, the budgets are certainly going to increase. That much I can say. I can't talk more on this specific topic now.
Okay, so I think one question I have, and then probably we'll also involve the audience in some of the questions I'm seeing on the platform. So I think, how does one choose influencers, especially when you target the Gen Z, either Gen Z influencers who are targeting Gen Z audience, or sort of influencers who are targeting product purchases from Gen Z? How does one go about choosing influencers? Because I think this has been a challenge for most brands. And also adding to it, is it like one big guy or thousands of small micro influencers, or is it one big guy and then amplifying his message with hundreds of smaller influencers? Maybe Shantanu, you can start. You're on mute, Shantanu. Sorry. You're on mute.
My bad. I'm still practicing this, but yeah. Oh, okay. So what we've noticed is there are two parts to this. One is the science of choosing the right influencer. I think the first way is we define on, when you define an objective, you also define in matrices that what do you want to calculate on? What do you want to actually finally see the results on? If you wanted to see the conversion, you wanted to have much more credible influencers across. And when you talk about the views, or when you talk about the impressions of the world to happy around all the stakeholders, then they comparatively you go for a little more viewability influencer who create a good content plus viewability. On the similar hand, you wanted to create a good brand message across, you go for a content-driven influencers who are much more content-driven across. So it is a kind of a science which starts with that one big question that we all are approaching to. And then you define your matrices, and then you design the science behind it. Having said that, similarly, when you talk about that, the one big celebrity or your multiple micro influencers across. So uh, I hope you know we have Rishabh Pant as our brand endorser. Now, one of the and I must say over here that that was the quickest decision we have ever taken at Noise. Why? Because everyone was too excited about him to be as a brand endorser out there. He's a 23-year-old. He has seen all the ups and downs in his life, and no one can forget the test play of knockout, especially at Gabba. The noise was just not beyond the stumps, but it was behind the stumps also. So the comparatively and the kind of message it comes out to be, as a brand, we always advocate is to listen to the noise within, and he's a perfect fit. Second, we were targeting on that we want to penetrate into this youth sector a little more. We wanted to penetrate in terms of the Gen Zs of the world, and he's the perfect guy, which comes into the sport fitness check. You have a age of 23 years old millennial, the youngest captain right now in the IPL. He was the youngest captain in the IPL. I mean, he's a perfect guy for us. And then we realized it, and we immediately got him onto the board. And eventually, the brand message comes out to be delivered from him. Then there is a content creation which you go for. Then you need a micro influencer where there are a lot of new content, which you said it yourself that your daughter creates a content across. She's a great content creator for us, for our brand message to communicate. So there you actually jump on not on numbers but on the quality. And then comparatively you multiply this quality with a lot of micro influencers across. So they both come under the different buckets altogether, and the mix and match help us to reach wider and wider audience. So I would say we should keep experimenting this. It should not stop, or we should not stuck our mind that one big guy works, only micro influencer work. Test out everything we have, and define your objective, and then you test out every assets you have.
Okay, so basically, I wanted to understand: are there any platforms that provide analytics to choose influencers? So, like, let's say, one of the things we were attempting to build was that we analyze the first-party data of a brand and find out what affinities their audience has, and then analyze the audiences of all the influencers and see which influencers have similar affinities and more overlap. So based on the percentage of overlap, you can actually decide which 100 micro influencers one must choose. So would love to know if you have come across any companies. So this is what we have built.
We've been approved with a lot of .ios of the world who have actually come out and they have given us these solutions. Eventually, this is a part of a business where we wanted to keep it not to expand. We are not expanding too much also over there in terms that requires when you are completely into an influencer space. What I felt like, because there are quite expensive platforms across, not only that, but apart from that, some of the maths is being solved with the influencer agencies itself. I have shamelessly asked them, can you please share me audience insights? Can you please share me who are the people who are actually consuming this content? Can you please share me? And they give us everything across.
Sure. So Ayushman, you had some experience with platforms and.
So Vivek, actually, it's very interesting, and I think Shantanu explained it quite well. Just a couple of points I'll build on it. I'll not want to repeat a lot of what he said. Was that one is, I think what we try and do is we expand the platforms we go to, right? So today, when we say influencer marketing, the top three that come to your mind is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, right? But I think when we talk about the commerce angle, especially for product-related commerce, maybe not so much in what Sai does, but for us, I think Amazon is becoming a very important influencer marketing platform as well, because of really the all the feedback or all the ratings that that people give and the weightage of that, right? The other platform that's becoming big is again in the Facebook domain is WhatsApp, right? So clearly plays as a micro influencer play, but now WhatsApp coming with business solutions. It is actually, that journey is getting closer, right? So nothing is stopping you from saying that I have an influencer campaign which will be run on WhatsApp, which is across different groups using micro influencers, but that will also include opt-in option, okay, which when somebody clicks actually opts them into my business account, WhatsApp business account, from where they can transact, right? So I'm saying that's where the future is going. Okay, so you see this Facebook infrastructure, which is Insta, Facebook and all, is now almost been there for about 2 years, little over that, and this explosion's been there. I mean, it is moving, it's moving fast, and there's still new people who are coming into the play. But I think there's also a platform explosion which is happening, okay, which is beyond these 3 platforms. And it's important to keep an eye on that. Okay, so now you have, say, Clubhouse come into the play. Now, how will that translate into social commerce tomorrow is for brands to imagine, right? So I think that's one thing from my POV, which is the future, and brands which latch on to the right platforms sooner than later are going to take the benefit from them, right? It is going to be investment heavy, trial and error kind of a thing, but that's the future.
Yeah, I think the way I would put it, Ayushman, is not latching onto the right platforms, because it reminds me of this quote of entrepreneurship. They asked this entrepreneur that how was he successful? So he says, I jumped at the right opportunities. He says, but how did you know which were the right opportunities? He says, I didn't, I kept jumping. So basically what happens is that Clubhouse is there, new platforms are there, just keep on experimenting different platforms. You don't know when the opportunity will give you that 10x, 100x multiplier. Right?
Absolutely, Vivek. I think the only point I want to add is, and this we're trying to do, okay, we're trying to do hard, is that I think imagining user journeys, okay, when the platforms are new, okay, is really the key, right? I mean, everybody wants to latch onto a new platform. I'm sure Clubhouse is a great fit for, say, a brand like Noise. But what do you want to do with it? Because it's really all about sound, right? But what do you want to do with it, okay, is really the key, okay? Imagining what kind of users are there, how will I engage with them, and how will I finally make an impact as a brand? Okay, need not be only for commerce, but how will I make that impact is the key. And that is the biggest challenge, if you ask me, that a marketer is facing today.
Yeah, Shantanu, you should create a sort of a thing called Happiness is the Muscle platform on Clubhouse, which is being moderated by Vivek Bhargava, the author of the new book.
We are on with it. And not only that, the message which we always have to listen to the noise within in itself is a great message to use on the Clubhouse, where people can come up with all their lots of stories across. And this audio marketing space is actually going to boom. Definitely, you said it right, Ayushman. Not only Clubhouse, Discord is another platform where I've seen, actually, I keep on talking to Gen Z and keep on observing them also, where exactly they are going, what are the things which they are doing. And that is definitely, it's a booming scene. And yeah.
So I think one question, Sai, if you can take this up, this comes from the audience. He says that when you chose your Rakhi campaign and you chose some influencers, if you had to target the Gen Z, what were the factors you considered while choosing the influencers? And but anyone else can also take it. But Sai, if you can take up this, maybe.
Yeah, honestly, when we try to do that, basically, we actually gone by because it is specific to us, because it cannot be according to me, it cannot be a science, and then there's no hard and fast rule. So what we looked at is basically what kind of audience are they. We try to actually understand that. That's one. And two, we also try to look at their conversations, basically the quality of their posts and what kind of conversations they're able to create. So why? Because at the end of the day, the major objective of the campaigns was actually to create brand awareness. So we also try to focus on the quality of their posts, which can actually create those conversations, is what we try to look at essentially, Vivek.
And for sort of a Gen Z influencers specifically, are there any factors which differentiate the sort of the influencer strategy? And are Gen Zs also after these big influencers, or they are more influenced by micro influencers?
Because I again was actually trying to say that we were actually doing almost for the first time. Okay, I think we're still trying to find that out. I'm sure that I cannot give up. Certainly, we did not find a formula at this point in time.
Sure. Ayushman, Shantanu, you have any thoughts on?
Yeah, so I mean, in our experience, I would say that it is really the micro influencers which cut ice with them. Having said that, to get these eyeballs, I think it always helps to have, say, somebody large as well. I mean, you have a big name, but you really need to amplify it with the micro influencers, their take on it, and so on and so forth. So I think that's the balance that we usually follow. We would seldom do only micro influencer campaigns because then it's really a very sharp cut of audience which ends up seeing it. Okay, and then the larger audience pool has not really seen it. So you do a balance of both. But what will be most effective? As an increasing trend, it's the micro influencers who are being more effective than just the large ones.
Okay. Sorry, I've been logging in and logging out. Looks like something is going wrong, although I have a supposedly 1 GB connection. But okay, so I think we have a couple of other questions, which maybe we can just give two seconds thoughts on it. So Meenakshi from BBC is asking about news consumption by Gen Zs, and is content creation through influencers a strategy that we are considering as brands, and especially like say things like news, right? Because my daughter doesn't read the newspaper, and I think very few Gen Z read the newspaper. They probably consume news throughout the day through different sources. So can brands take up the mandate of, creating some kind of small package of things that Gen Z can consume and use an influencer to do so? So it probably answers Meenakshi's questions and also gives our own thoughts onto the mix. Anyone can take it, please.
So I take it. That's a great thought. I think we've been doing this content marketing, especially like we just recently started with this particular zone also, where we started communicating via news. That how you can utilize this. Not only this, even the kind of journalist in itself, creating them as an influencer themselves is also a better strategy to go for. I mean, we have actually shared a lot of pre-buzz content with them, before any launches, and it has worked out pretty well for us. It reaches to a wider audience, and there are a lot of followers these journalists themselves have, So the comparatively, I think this can be solved by this. Whereas the consumption of news, definitely the apps like InShots and Daily Hunt is in itself is a great platform to market yourself over there in a native way. Weber, you are on mute.
Yeah,
Vivek.
so I think Manmeet looks like our session time is up.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, so thanks a lot, Ayushman, Shantanu, Sai, for wonderful views on this topic, and I think it's been a great learning experience for me as well as I think the audience. Over to you, Manmeet.
I totally echo with it, and I think the amount of time I spent on Instagram and with influencers, I think each and every point I resonated with completely. Thank you so much, everyone, for such an insightful discussion. We would like to thank our registration partner, Value Leaf, digital growth partner, Microsoft InMobi, gold partners, Admitad and Welcome Media, silver partner, Bidroid.io, mobile performance partner, Collectant, bronze partner, Cashkaro, and platform partner, Airmeet. Another thank you goes out to all our attendees who are here with us today, and thank you for putting out such an interesting questions. Thank you once again to all the panelists. Stay safe.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.